this nation valiantly, deployed to Iraq as a unit in 2008. I had the opportunity to meet with some of you downrange during one of my trips to Balad and to Operation Iraqi Freedom. I know the separation and the sacrifices that you all felt. But you know, it was made very real to me as a civilian and a public servant on the day that may have started all this, gentlemen. September 11, 2001. I was in Washington, D.C. that day. I was at my office. And over the course of the tumultuous events of that day, I finally made my way back across the bridge into Virginia to the little house we were renting, where my wife Karen and our 3 children, 6, 7, and 8, have been gathered. The children have been mustered away from school. You see, my family lives with me in Washington, D.C. the last 10 years, and they did that day. And you know, we like to do something at our house, I don't know about the rest of you, but we have like a family meeting, right? Which, with teenagers now and one in college, is a lot more interesting than it was when they were 6, 7, and 8. But we thought we'd have a little family meeting and talk about what had happened. You know, our kids were going to a little private school where an awful lot of Pentagon families went to school. They'd been evacuated from their classrooms. Karen was unable to reach me for about an hour and a half, not knowing exactly what was happening. It's hard to remember or describe the pandemonium in our nation's capital that day. But there was one moment that stands out. It burns into my heart a sense of gratitude to all of you in this room. We had finished our little meeting, hadn't we, dear? And Audrey was 6 years old. And to know Audrey, who's now 17, is to know a real fireball. She lets her voice be heard. And she even did when she was 6. Well, we finished up the meeting. We had a little time for prayer together as a family. We prayed for the families in New York City. We prayed for the families at the Pentagon, people that we knew. And I was called back to Capitol Hill to meet with the leadership in the Congress. And as I walked through the kitchen, Audrey, that 6-year-old, followed me into the kitchen. She said, "Daddy, I have a question." And I said to her, "Honey, Dad's got to go. I got to get back to Capitol Hill." And she said, "No, Daddy, I have a question." And I said, "No, hon, your mother, we're done here now." And then she stomped her feet and said, "Daddy, I have a question." And being the kind of focus on the family dad that I am, I said, "What?" And she looked up at me with those big chocolate brown eyes that she has to this day. And she said, words I'll never forget. She said, "Daddy, if we have to make a war, you have to go." And all 200 pounds plus of me buckled. I dropped down on one knee and threw my arms around that little girl. So I suddenly knew in that moment what was in her heart. It wasn't about what was happening in the nation. It wasn't about what was happening in the world. It's about what was happening in her little world. Well, I put my arms around her and I said, "Daddy's too old." But with a lump in my throat, I thought of all of you. I thought of all the daddies, the mommies and sons, and the daughters who met that day and who had a different calling, who had a different role to play, who put on the uniform, who stood tall, who kissed their spouses and who hugged their children, and you went. And let me say here and now, on behalf of the people of Indiana, the people of the United States of America, this nation will be eternally grateful for the service and sacrifice you have rendered to her to this day. So let me close simply tonight by telling you it is an honor to serve men and women like you. And not just those in uniform, but as Justice David just said, with eloquence, and commemorated with applause. We understand, as Lieutenant Colonel Thomas leads this state so effectively, that families serve in uniform. There are some that put on the uniform, gather down as we did that day at the Hoosier Dome. Speeches are given, the orders are given, the buses are loaded, and heroes drive away. But I don't think there's probably anyone in this room who doubts that the heart of duty is at home. The heart of duty is to suddenly become both parents. Find a way to pay the bills. Find a way to keep some normalcy. And act like it's just another day. When you know that a telegram can come, a phone call can be made, or you can see a familiar face on the doorstep. So I join my voice tonight, not just to pay a debt of gratitude to all of you who are wearing the uniform, but also, as Justice David said so well, to thank all of you who stand by those who do. Because it is not only for you that they fight and serve, but it is because of you that they are able to fight and they're able to serve. If you owe debts, pay debts. Give honor, then honor. Give respect, then respect. The people of Indiana owe everyone in this room a debt of gratitude that we will never be able to repay. But let me make a promise to all of you. For what remains of my service on Capitol Hill, and wherever else the people of Indiana might like to employ me in the days ahead, I will spend every day, the rest of my life, doing everything in my power to stand with, to stand by, to support, and to pray, and to express the profound gratitude of the people of Indiana on behalf of each and every one of you. So let me, if I may, tonight, even though I'm a teetotaler, let me raise a glass. Without any grog involved. To the soldiers of the 76th Brigade, Special Troops Battalion, to your families, and to your loved ones. God bless you for your service to Indiana, your service to this nation. This is all of you. Hear, hear. Thank you and good night.
Congressman Pence, we couldn't let you get away without sharing with you a token of our appreciation, and other guests, we also have tokens of appreciation for you. What is being presented to Congressman Pence is a flag. This flag is in the case that was flown over the Indiana State Capitol and presented to the 76th Infantry Brigade unit by the Governor, Mitch Daniels. It was carried into Iraq in and flown over one of our compounds at Camp Anaconda, now known as Joint Base Balad. It was then carried on a combat mission in Diwana Province, one of the most volatile areas in the Sunni Triangle. The unit that carried this flag would lose one soldier during the deployment, Staff Sergeant Brian Miller of Pendleton, Indiana, to whom the Lawrence Armory is dedicated. Inside the flag case is also a piece of the broken marble. This piece is one of the Saddam Hussein's many palaces that he was constructed at the beginning of the war. The palace was named by Saddam the Victory over America Palace. The flag is in the case is symbolic of the charge given to us by the people of Indiana and their elected leadership, symbolic of Indiana soldiers executing the mission wherever and whenever they are told to go. It is symbolic of the sacrifices of our soldiers and their families. And the broken piece of the marble is proof that our Indiana Guardsmen will never allow anyone to declare victory over this great state or great nation.